Ducati just lifted the lid on the latest generation of their World Superbike homologation Panigale, the V4R, and they're saying it's the best sports bike you can buy. So could that possibly be true? Well, in this video, we'll go through the 9 key features to find out. First up, aerodynamics, a hot topic when it comes to sports bikes, certainly over the past few years. This new V4R, along with the typical aero wings, gets some MotoGP-inspired corner side pods, which they say is a first for any production motorcycle. Designed to work at high lean angles, corner side pods generate a ground effect, ensuring a higher level of grip for the tyres and thus allowing higher speeds and therefore lower lap times. They then go on to say that a tighter line through the corner is possible, especially at higher speeds where aero, of course, can have more effect. That's on top of the wings that are inherited from the standard Panigale V4, which give apparently 4.8 kilograms of downforce at 270 kilometers per hour and 6 kilograms at 300 kilometers per hour. On top of that, another interesting aero feature would be the dynamic front air intake, which is designed to increase the amount of air drawn into the engine, and the result, they say, is 1.3 horsepower extra at maximum speed, which helps when you're barreling down a particularly long straight. So yes, it is built for out-and-out performance, but they also say they've made changes to the ergonomics, which have made it more rideable and less tiring. The tank, seat and foot pegs have all been narrowed by 10mm versus the previous gen V4R, which helps to give better support to the rider and is also said to make it easier to get into an aero position. They've also improved the ergonomics under braking and also when hanging off, and so they reckon it's less fatiguing both on a single hot lap but also over a longer session. On to the engine though, and this 998cc Desmo Sedici Stradale is a little bit smaller in capacity than that of the standard Panigale V4, but that is to comply with World Superbike regulations. Still, performance is absolutely blistering, with it able to rev as high as 16,500 RPM, and so you get a peak power figure of 218 horses at 15,500 RPM, even whilst complying with the latest Euro 5 Plus emission standards, which is required, of course, to sell it for road use. Some of the changes they've made for this year include new pistons that are 5% lighter, but also a crankshaft with more inertia, a strategy that they say trickles down from their MotoGP program to make the engine response more progressive. Now, with the standard exhaust, whilst peak power figure is the same as the previous gen, they do say there's a stronger torque curve in the middle of the rev range. But if you do want to take it to the track, then there is the race exhaust system, which lifts the peak power figure to an incredible 235 horses, and that rises further still to 239 if you use their own specific Ducati course performance oil. Although one assumes it's going to cost you a little bit more than Halford's own brand. Naturally, being a race bike for the street, this one gets a racing-style gearbox, which positions neutral actually under first gear as opposed to between first and second, and you'll find the same on their MotoGP and World Superbike machines. They say this makes shifts between first and second quicker because you're not having to go through neutral, and also it makes them smoother and more repeatable, which is key when every second counts. Still, you might be concerned that you'll accidentally bang straight down into neutral when you're rolling into a corner, and that of course would be alarming because it would kill any engine braking. But fear not, they've thought of that, and it's actually got a neutral lock which prevents this happening. It's operated with a lever on the right-hand bar. Again, as you'll find on their genuine MotoGP bikes and World Superbikes, and so you really can pretend you're a factory rider. Now, a lot of this V4R is inherited from the recent update to the standard Panigale V4, and as such it gets the new frame and new swing arm. Now, both the front frame, which bolts to the Falcon engine, and the new swing arm, which is now dual-sided, are said to have less lateral stiffness by about 40%, which has been done to maximize grip at higher lean angles where the suspension is less effective at following undulations in the surface of the track. Suspension is from Öhlins with a 43mm NPX 2530 fork, And there's a TTX 36 shock at the rear, both of which get new settings that are specific to this updated model. Along with that, you've also got an Öhlins SD20 steering damper, which they say is another first for a production bike, and it's said to have better damping but also a wider range of adjustability. Speaking of adjustability, you can also change the swing arm pivot height by 4 positions in 2mm steps, and there's a rear ride height adjustability of 32mm now, which is way up on the 13mm of the previous generation. Wheels come in the form of 5-spoke forged aluminium rims wrapped in Pirelli Diablo Supercorsa SP V4 tyres with a whopping big 200mm wide rear, and it'll also take Pirelli slicks, same as they use in World Superbikes, without any modifications to the bike. Then brakes come in the form of Brembo's latest top-spec high-pure calipers on big 330mm discs up front, which they say guarantees excellent braking power and also better dispersion of heat, which will give more consistent performance. Now, this is another bike that now gets Ducati's DVO system, or Ducati Vehicle Observer, which they say is a significant evolution over the previous gen of this bike. The algorithm is used to accurately understand the forces that are acting on the bike, and that should lead to better predictive intervention from the rider aids. Specific to this model, there's also a system called race brake control, which is more tailored than the standard Panigale V4 to riding techniques used by professional riders, including much greater use of the rear brake. All the tech is managed through the same 6.9-inch TFT dash as the regular Panigale V4, which is a really nice dash, which I was lucky enough to sample when I took it out for a spin a couple of months back. One key difference though is that this new V4R gets a new feature in the dash called the grip meter, which I guess again probably uses the DVO system, but basically shows an estimate of the available grip at a given moment, and so you can pretty much see how much harder you could technically be riding. Smart stuff, although if it was myself riding, I'd be happy to see it over 10%. Bikes are available in Europe from November 2025, so I guess we'll see this one on display at EICMA, and then the US and other countries will start from December. Price is, well, £38,995. No doubt a huge amount of money for a bike, but by Ducati standards, it's actually nowhere near their most expensive, with the Panigale V4 Lamborghini, for example, costing $67,000, and there have been plenty of others that have gone well beyond that. I guess we've got the FIM to thank for that though, with €44,000 being the price cap for a World Superbike homologated bike, although I dare say you could push it quite a bit further with the accessories catalogue, which includes, for example, carbon wheels, Race Pro software, a data logger, upgraded front brakes, and many, many more red trinkets. So what do you think? Are they right that this is the ultimate sports bike, or is my 2013 SV650S, which I'm definitely going to get back on the road sometime soon, superior? I certainly think so, but I'd love to know what you think, so do let me know down in the comments below. And also, if you want to see my review of the Panigale V2 from earlier this year, then I'll put it on the screen now so you can catch up. Do hit subscribe for more of the latest motorcycle news and reviews right here on MOTOBOB. A massive thanks for watching today, and we'll catch you in the next video.